Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I assume the judge will be signing on shortly. However, I have a question while we're waiting. Does Daniel Dirico, or I don't know if I'm pronouncing it wrong, do we have a number for him, or is he going to be heard on today's calendar? Position number 5.
That's what I assumed. I interviewed him, but I do not know how the state's going to proceed.
Do you have a case number for him?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I guess that's basically what I'm needing.
Okay. No, I don't. Never mind. I apologize.
You know? Okay.
Yeah, it is actually SG number. I don't have a case number.
Right, okay. I put the warrant number on here, so I guess we'll see how things are gonna go.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to commence with our state expedited accusation calendar for today, December 14th, 2022. These are cases in which individuals are recently booked and charged with certain misdemeanor offenses. Their cases have been formally accused now, and hence this would be their initial appearance before a judicial officer. If you are charged with one or more misdemeanor offenses, please be aware that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and and one of the attorneys from the public defender's office or conflict defense list will represent you. Okay, let's begin with courtroom 2. Who do we have?
Good afternoon, Judge Law. This is going to be position 5, Daniel.
Okay, and at the time this calendar was published, I do not have the accusation number. So can the prosecution update us with the information?
Yes, Your Honor. On that case, with Mr. Daniel's case, it is currently being reviewed for felony transfer. The state requested a 1-day continuance to gather additional information on this case, which we do have and have shared that with the defense. And based on that information, we are applying to the DA's office for a transfer for felony charges.
All right. Who was going to represent Mr. Derico?
I do, Your Honor.
All right. Any response?
No response, Your Honor, other than.
All right. I've read the warrant in this case. The warrant number was EW-0387008. There is clearly a sworn testimony in that warrant that should be seriously considered by the district attorney's office. Mr. Derico has been in custody now for 2 days. Pursuant to the warrant, he has an additional 24 hours, and we have an additional 24 hours to detain him after which his case will be Riverside. So the state is on notice that that the Riverside issue is pending with regards to this particular case.
Yes, Your Honor, we understand that. We also understand that we have until 11 p.m. on December 15th, whether we will go forward with misdemeanor accusation or we will transfer this case to the felony division. It has already been sent to the DA's office. We have a video that we have to send to the DA's office so they can review that as well in order to make their final determination. I hope to have their final determination by tomorrow, but either way, the state will be prepared to go forward on this case, whether it's as a felony first appearance case or whether we will handle that case here in open court.
Okay. Mr. Derek Cole, you've already been advised of your right to remain silent, and presently you do have an attorney, Ms. J. Kim. As I've already indicated, because there has been a warrant issued for this particular case, the state or the authorities have up to 72 hours to review the case and for the case to have its initial appearance. If you're still detained after 72 hours without your initial appearance, you could be qualified for a signature bond. So I'm going to reset the case till tomorrow, December 15th, 2022 at 2 p.m., by which time the state has to decide whether it's going to be a felony matter, and hopefully, if it's a felony matter, that it already had its first appearance before the Superior Court tomorrow. I think they hold it at 11 o'clock in the morning.
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right. Okay. Mr. Derek Cole, do you have any questions about this procedure?
No.
All right. I heard a no. So we're moving on. Thank you.
All right.
Position 1, Anadoza.
Thank you. This is Mr. Anazoda, charged with false report of a crime. Mr. Anazoda, if you could unmute courtroom 2, I just want to make sure that he speaks and understands English. I'm sorry, let's unmute the screen. Francois? Mr. Anazoda, do you speak and understand English?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So, Mr. Anazoda, in your case number is 22 CR 008-265J. You've been arrested and charged with one misdemeanor offense of a false report of a crime, allegedly on December 13, 2022. You've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Kim. Any priors, Ms. Tucson?
Second arrest, 2020 DUI conviction.
2020 DUI? All right, thank you. Mr. Abdullah, good afternoon. What's the bond recommendation, please?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. The facts show that on December 13th, the defendant placed the 911 call from the location of 2855 Old Milton Parkway, claiming that a man by the name of Mr. Ipoade, spelling I-P-O-A-D-E, had a gun and shot 10 times. When the officer arrived, the defendant changed his story and stated that there was no shots fired, but Mr. Ipoade did pull out a gun and used it to threaten him. The police questioned and searched Mr. Ipoade. He also denied having a gun. There was no gun found on his person or in his vehicle. At this time, the state is recommending a $4,000 signature bond. No further contact with the third party, Mr. Ipoade. Stay away from the address.
2855 Old Milton Parkway?
Yes, 2855 Old Milton Parkway, as well as no 911 calls except for emergencies, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons during the bond. And the state wants to make it clear to to the defendant that he is not to make these calls in the future, and that 911 is for emergency calls only.
Thank you. Ms. Kim, I'm going to grant the $4,000 signature bond through pretrial services. Mr. Anazoto, you can sign up for your bond today, which means you don't have to pay for it, but you must comply with the conditions. The conditions are, first of all, no further contact with Mr. Ipoade. I only have his last name. The warrant only includes that, which means that you're to stay 200 yards away from him. You're not to communicate with him in any way, form, or manner. You're not to make any 911 calls that lack any merit. So in other words, you cannot break the law and file any allegedly false claims. 911 calls are only for emergency calls that have merit to the claim. Mr. Anazode, you're not to possess any weapons or any firearms. You're not to consume any illegal drugs. And you're also to stay away from 2855 Old Milton Parkway in Alpharetta, Georgia. Do you have any reason to go back to that location?
No, ma'am.
All right. Your next court date, it will be sent to you at your current address. If you change your current address, or if you believe we do not have your current address, make sure you contact the clerk's office at 160 Prior Street at the Fulton County Misdemeanor Court, and make sure we have your current address. If you fail to appear, your bench warrant will be issued for your arrest. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Position 2, Brown.
Deshaun Brown. Okay, his case number is 22 CR 00862, excuse me, 008-267Y. Mr. Brown's been accused of battery, domestic violence from December 13, 2022. Mr. Brown, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Kim.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Tucson, other than the open felony case 22 SC 183284, does he have any other convictions for battery, domestic violence?
I don't think so.
All right.
He got a history out of Virginia, his drug convictions.
All right, that's fine. Ms. Dillingham, what's your bond recommendation? I've read the warrant. I'm aware of the open felony case. I'm just curious to know what the state wants to recommend.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. We are going to be asking for a $10,000 cash bond, and for that reason, I'm going to have to disclose all of the facts. On December 13th, 2022, officers responded to 5755 Glenridge Drive, where they met with the victim, Devanica Napper, spelled D-A''VANICA, who lives with the defendant. She lived with him at the time. Ms. Napper stated that the defendant threw a glass object at her, and the officers that arrived and responded observed the cuts to her ear. Your Honor, the reason we're asking for a $10,000 cash bond is because this defendant at this time was out on bond, out on a $35,000 good bond that was ordered by Judge Hughes on July 28th of 2021 last year, with the strict conditions to not only stay away from Ms. Napper, but to also stay away from the order, from the address that I initially stated, 5755 Glenridge Drive. So not only did the defendant violate the stay away order, he violated getting in contact with Ms. Napper, and she was injured as a result of that. It was mentioned in his pretrial that he has a history in Virginia. It is a bit more severe than it was stated.
Does he have any violent
Yeah.
convictions for crimes of violence from there? And how long ago?
He does not have the convictions for the violent crimes, but he was arrested for battery and domestic violence, as well as branding a firearm and possession of a firearm by felons. So because of those investigations, we are aware that this defendant has access to multiple weapons. Ms. Napper is in fear of her life, her safety from this defendant. So for those reasons, we are asking for a $10,000 cash bond, no further contact with the victim, and a stay away order from that same address.
Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. We have no objection to stay away or no further contact. Indeed, according to my client, the complaining witness actually left Georgia yesterday and she moved back to Virginia. So she's completely out of state. So stay away will not be a problem. Mr. Brown was born on 1990, 32 years old, and he is currently employed. He's working at, hold on, please, Your Honor. he's actually owner of the business that does commercial cleaning, and 365 Solutions Atlanta LLC is the business that he has been owning for the last 4 years. And he is taking care of his 83 years of grandmother as a full-time, I mean, not full-time, but caregiver. He lives together with her, and he has 2 minor children. Even though they do not live together with him, he has to take care of them financially. And also, I believe that he is separated from the spouse who is actually living with his 2 children. We would like to request for surety bond, which is more reasonable for this action. He has no conviction whatsoever in terms of violence, and we would like to request for maximum $3,000 good bond, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bond is going to be set at a $10,000 surety bond. And
Your Honor, if I may add one thing, I do beg the court's indulgence.
yes,
We did just receive information. The information that was shared regarding the victim's whereabouts was not given to the defendant from the victim. So he has been harassing and getting information from other people. We do believe he has ties to.
well, I understand that. That's why if you let me finish my bond order, then maybe we can move on. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you, Your
All
Honor.
right. So it's a $10,000 surety bond on this new battery domestic violence matter against Ms. Davinica Napper. Mr. Brown, you are to have no contact. That was the bond order in your felony case. And I think the Superior Court is going to be informed that you have violated the terms of that bond order. So you may be subject to a bond revocation in the felony case. But in this particular case, I'm just going to repeat the same conditions. You're to have no contact with Davinica Napper. If she happens to be in the same location, you are under a legal obligation to make sure that you keep a 200-yard buffer between you and her. So you're not to communicate with her in person, not through a third party, not through a phone, a computer device, or even on social media. You're not to possess any weapons or any firearms, and you're not to consume any illegal drugs, no alcohol. You will also be equipped with an ankle monitor to make sure that we know your whereabouts. You're not to leave the state of Georgia. The monitor will be affixed to you by the jail services, and then you will pay the monthly monitoring services. If there is any month that you do not pay the monitoring services, your bond will be revoked. All right. And also, I'm not certain, but I'm going to require you to stay away from 5755 Glenridge Drive in Sandy Spring.
That's what I wanted.
You may return to that location one time only with a police officer. At that visit, the officer must verify that the premises are no longer occupied by anyone else, including Ms. Napper, and that's the only exception in which you will be permitted to return to the property.
Your Honor, his grandmother resides there.
Well, is her name Davinica Napper?
Nope.
No, okay,
No,
then that's perfectly fine.
Thank you.
Davinica Napper cannot be residing in that property.
Thank you.
All right. Ms. Dillingham, I don't know what is the process in your office, but if your office is notified that the monitoring services payments have not been timely made, then the state has a right to file a motion to revoke the bond, and he will remain in jail with no bond. The state is also under an obligation to report to the district attorney's office with regards to this new arrest, so they can decide what they want to do in case number 22 SC 183284. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge, I have a question. So are we taking that stay away?
No, the stay away is conditioned upon the fact that he cannot return to the property if Miss Napper still lives there.
Okay.
And ma'am, she doesn't live there. She did go back to Virginia. She got all of her stuff and she doesn't live there, and the apartment is in my name.
It's remarkable how much information you have about Miss Napper at this present time,
Oh, that's
considering that since 2021, you were told to have no contact with her whatsoever. So I hope the solicitor is taking note of this information, but because this is the kind of information that the district attorney office needs to know.
So this is what the officer.
That's why I advise people to keep their mouth shut.
Yeah, the officer told me that yesterday.
Keep on talking.
Mr. Brown, I strongly recommend you to stay silent. You have a right to remain silent. It's your constitutional right.
Ma'am.
Okay. Next case, please.
Position 3, Harris.
Susie Ann Harris is accused of battery domestic violence from December 12th, 2022. I believe this occurred at the Delano Road, South Fulton. Ms. Harris, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Kim. Mr. Tucson, any priors? I have a hold from some place called Porterdale Police Department.
Yeah, I ain't never heard of that place, but it is true.
Okay, anything else with Ms. Harris?
The file I have say first arrest. State may have something different because this file does look kind of incomplete.
All right. Ms. Dillingham, do you have any information about this hold? Is it in South Carolina or I don't know what state that's in?
Oh, it's here. It's a 770.
It's in Georgia, Your Honor.
Okay,
We are aware of the hold. We are still trying to investigate the charges related to that hold.
It's an FTA for traffic.
oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, so Your Honor, with this case on December 12th, 2022, officers responded to 4900 Delano Road where they met with Virginia Williams, who is the child of the defendant. Ms. Williams is 27 years old, and she disclosed to the officers that the defendant striked her in a heated argument, and the officers observed scratches to Ms. Williams' face from an altercation. We have been made aware that Ms. Williams has been violent towards that the defendant has been violent towards Ms. Williams previously, and for those reasons, Ms. Williams is not comfortable living with her mother. They currently reside at 4900 Delano Road at her uncle's home. And so for that reason, we would ask for a $3,000 surety bond, no further contact with the victim, and a stay away order from the address 4900 Delano Road, which is the uncle's residence.
would that be Reginald Price? Is that the uncle? I don't know.
No, Your Honor.
That's the only other adult identified in the warrant. Okay, let's see. Ms. Kim, anything to add?
Well, she is 60 years old and she has been here in Georgia for all her life. She has 2 adult children. If her daughter is 20, I believe 7 years old. If she wants to move out, I think that will be a great way to do. My client has an employment. She's working as a tagger at a warehouse, and she's been working there, tagging the boxes for the last 9 months, and she makes only $15 per hour. So she barely is not qualified for public defender's office. So my representation will end at the end of this bond hearing, and yet her financial situation is very tight, and it is her brother who is allowing her to reside, and her daughter, Virginia Williams, is an adult, and if she does not want to reside with her mother, she's more than welcome to move out. My client still want to have a no further violent contact, and yet she is willing to go to hotel until her daughter moves out.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Just to confirm, Ms. Kim, does your office represent Anazotto and Brown, the 2 cases we just addressed?
Let me see.
The ones,
Anazotto, Your Honor.
yeah,
Give me 1 second. No, Your Honor.
okay.
He's not qualified either.
And Brown, I don't think he qualified either. I think you said he has his own business, right?
Correct.
Okay.
He's not qualified either.
So Mr. Anazotto and Mr. Brown would need to hire their own private attorneys
Yes,
from
Your
this
Honor.
point onwards. Okay.
Yes.
And the same issue with Ms. Harris. Ms. Harris, after today, you will need to hire your own attorney. Presently, your bond is going to be set at $3,500. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial. You are going to report to pretrial once a month. You're not to consume any illegal drugs, no alcohol, and not possess any weapons or firearms. You are also to move out of 4900 Delano Road in South Fulton. You can return to that location one time only with a police officer to retrieve your personal belongings. Within 30 days of being released, you must update the court with your new address so we can send you notice of your new court date. No contact with Virginia Williams means staying 200 yards away from her. Do not communicate with her in person through a third party, through a phone or a computer, or even on social media. And yes, Ms. Bridgewater, this will be per judge. After you're released, Ms. Harris, I would recommend that you go to Porterdale Police Department and resolve the outstanding traffic ticket that you have there so that a bench warrant won't be issued for your arrest. Because right now you've got a signature bond through pretrial. After today, if you are arrested again for anything else, pretrial has the authority to cancel your signature bond, have you rearrested, and your bond will be converted to a surety bond. While you are out on bond, you will also attend and complete a one-day anger awareness program with pretrial. Thank you.
Your Honor, may I please ask one question?
Certainly.
I just wanted to clarify, if her daughter, Virginia Williams, moves out of that location, can she return?
I think she has to verify that with the owner of the property, and that would be, I have a feeling it's Uncle Reginald, but
Yes,
I don't know who the uncle is.
that is. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Next position, I have Marcus Johnson. Marcus Johnson's case is 22 CR 008264J. Mr. Johnson's been accused of simple battery domestic violence from October 24th, 2022, involving one John Hickson. Mr. Johnson, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Kim. Ms. Kim, would you all continue to represent him up to today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Mr. Johnson, you get to have the services of the Public Defender's Office. Once we resolve your bond issue, please make sure to keep in continuous contact with them. Mr. Tucson, any priors?
C10 total. Last arrest was September 2021. Battery DV, that was a conviction. 2020 ag assault, shooting at, possession of a knife or a firearm during the commission. It says confidential, so that might have been first offender. Got a 2018 battery DV conviction. Came off a 17 CR case. Probation violation 2017. 2016 battery DV conviction. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Campbell?
Yes, Your Honor. We did get the police report in this case, so we do have additional information outside of the warrant. And that is that on the date of October 24th of this year, at the location of 320 Fairburn Road at Southwest, apartment A8, per the complaining witness in this case, Miss Dorothy Tapley, this defendant did walk out of the kitchen and into the dining room, and he did slap her 13-year-old son with the initials KH.
Oh, so
And
okay.
yes, Your Honor, it is a minor. And another minor was present in the home at the time of this violence. And that other minor actually had to assist in breaking up this altercation between the minor and this defendant. So 2 minors were present. And what the state would like to note for the court is that as it pertains to the defendant's history, the conviction from 2022 was actually for battery, family violence, and cruelty to children, involving the same minor at issue in this case. The victim in that case was the complaining witness in this case, which is the mother of the minor, Miss Dorothy Tapley. The defendant was actually sentenced to 365 days by Judge Roth on that case, and he was released from jail on September 12th of this year. As your honor knows, this incident took place on October 24th of this year. So just a little bit over a month after being released from jail for a battery family violence against the mother of the victim in this case, he gets out and commits an additional simple battery family violence against a little boy. And your honor, it happened at the same incident location, and the 2017 battery family violence, his probation was actually revoked because he did not take his required domestic violence course. So the state does have serious concerns about the safety of the victim in this case. As your honor knows, it's a child, and a child cannot defend themselves against an adult. And the state also believes that he's a risk of reoffending. So for those reasons, the state is recommending a $5,000 cash bond on the simple battery charge. We did NOD the cruelty to children charge, and the state is recommending a stay away from the incident location, as well as no further contact whatsoever with the victim with the initials KH. We have had contact with the victim. She does not want this defendant to return to her home. He beat her last year, and now he put his hands on her child this year. So she does not want him to return, and she does fear for the safety of her child. Nothing further. I'm sorry.
Is that Fairburn Road location like an apartment complex or something?
It is, your honor, but the specific apartment number is A8.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Johnson was born on 1984, and he actually is not objecting to stay away. He has another place that he can go to. He's living with 3 stepchildren. He has his own 3 children who he has to be financially responsible. However, he's not able to do it because he has not been able to get a job yet. After he got fired on the day that he was arrested. He worked at Wendy's for about 3 weeks. He was making about $2,000 a month at the time. However, he believes that he is terminated by now. And that's why he's going to be qualified for public defender service. He graduated from high school. He was born and raised here in Georgia. Other than asthma, he has a very healthy condition. We would like to request for $5,000 good bond, Your Honor. Thank you.
I'm sorry, did you say 5,000?
Signature on bond, Your Honor.
Oh,
I made a mistake.
okay. All right, bond is set at 3,500. It is a surety bond. No further contact with KH and all the immediate family members, which would include his other siblings as well as his mother. He's to stay entirely away from at least 500 yards away, which I understand is a quarter of a mile, from the entire apartment complex located at 320 Fairburn Road in Atlanta, Georgia. So it's not only apartment A8 or 8A, but it's the entire complex. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and no firearms. And he is to attend and complete a 6-month domestic violence intervention program as a condition to his bond if he is released on bond. Otherwise, his next court date will be, is it 12/29 or 12?
Still 12/27.
Okay, his next court date is going to be December 27th. Thank you.
And Your Honor, just if I could get that surety bond again on
3,500 surety.
okay, thank you.
All right. I believe that concludes our calendar, Deputy Francois.
Yes, Judge, it was short and sweet.
All right, thank you. I'll see you later this week. Take
All
care.
right, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, position 1, Anazoto was a $4,000 signature bond for pretrial, further notice. Position 2 is a $10,000 surety bond with an ankle monitor requirement, reset dates December 27th. Position 3 is a 3,500 signature bond for pretrial, further notice. Position 4 is a 3,500 surety, reset December 27th. And position 5, Derek Cole, is reset to the C calendar on December 15th, pending a decision by the district attorney's office.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, everyone, thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.
I hope this short calendar doesn't disrupt everyone's schedule. But otherwise, have a great Wednesday. Take care.
You
Thank
here
you.
tomorrow?
Thank you.
Saturday.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.